Welcome to Opposition Territory here at the Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast Show, the longest running weekly Philly sports podcast show in the world. 12 years strong. We got a great Opposition Territory show coming your way. We are previewing the Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs Week 2 matchup. It's going to be a barn burner for sure. I have no idea why I just used the phrase barn burner. I sounded like an old man saying that. Maybe I am an old man. Anyway, I'm Jeff Warren, and I'm here with one of our first-time guests from arrowheadpride.com. You know, we love that site. We love our SB Nation sites here at the PST Podcast Show. We've got Jared Sapp. Buddy, how you doing? And thanks so much for joining us.
Glad to be here. I wouldn't say I'm really doing that well after a week of covering this Chiefs game, and the coverage that just does not end.
Yes, it's not going to end. But look, you've got your very first Chiefs fans have their very first home opener game this week against the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, look, I could say that it was bizarre for the Eagles last year, kicking off the 2024-2025 season down in Brazil. Kind of a weird feeling, I would imagine, for Chiefs fans as well, and even Chargers fans too. But I really do want to start our discussion here, Jared, by, assessing what we saw from that Chiefs team in week 1 against the Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, it was a surprising game, I think, for many of us to watch. Then again, it's early in the season. There's usually some rust that needs to get knocked off from a lot of teams, a lot of talent in the NFL. But I truly thought the Chiefs would really be the aggressor in this game. I don't know, from an outsider's perspective, as somebody who's just watching week 1, it seemed that there was like this lack of like motivation and mojo kind of coming from the Chiefs on both sides of the ball, quite frankly. There are, of course, key injuries on this team, especially offense, especially with the wide receiver core. We also saw some baffling stuff happening with the defense as well. So take us through it here in terms of your opinion here. What's your take and assessment from what we saw on the field from the Kansas City Chiefs in week 1 here?
I don't really think you can take a whole lot from the offense right now. I mean, Philadelphia sports fans know a lot about how Andy Reid works, and I think we know how important those first 15 plays that he scripts are to how the game goes, because he puts those in. He knows what he wants to do the first 15 calls. It helps him really make some predictions to adjust to the defense as the game goes on. And that got thrown out the window 3 plays in when Xavier Worthy went down. We don't think it's going to be season ending, but we haven't really gotten any confirmation that it's not. I'm fairly certain you're not going to see him this Sunday against the Eagles. So I really feel that Andy's first 15 getting thrown out the window, that put the offense in a hole that they did rebound from, because the offense played very well in the second half.
Very true.
The defense, I don't really know what happened. You can say a lot. The Chiefs don't always look perfect week 1, but under Andy Reid, the Chiefs always look ready. You can always tell that training camp has put them in position to play, and especially when they played the Chargers earlier in the season, they have almost always looked like the more fit team, the team that's not getting gassed, and you just did not see that on Sunday or on Friday night. Getting mixed up. One thing that I really thought was going to work to the Chiefs' favor going into that game was Andy Reid has just been so good at adjusting to all the NFL schedule quirks.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if the 2-hour bus ride on game day, which I did not realize that was a thing. I guess that was a thing for the Packers last year.
Yeah,
yeah. Because I guess the Eagles were like the Chargers and stayed across the street from the stadium.
I think so. Yeah, actually, now that you're saying it, yes.
And the opposition team, I did not realize that they had to stay 20 miles away, and I did not realize that rush hour in Sao Paulo is. I mean, I live in Fort Worth, Texas, and I can't imagine traffic worse than what I see on a regular basis. And 2 hours to go 19 miles, like I can't imagine that.
Yes.
And the last thing, and Chiefs fans have not been really good about this, but I think you've really got to give a good hat tip to the Chargers. They had an incredible game plan. I think everybody thought these guys signed a running back on the first day of free agency. They drafted a running back in the first round of the draft. They've got Greg Roman. They've got Jim Harbaugh. We have years of knowledge of what they're going to do. and that's not how they came out.
Yeah.
I think the Chargers are the best team the Chiefs are gonna face all season. I do think that the Chargers having, a franchise quarterback, I don't think you could put Justin Herbert outside the top 8 quarterbacks, and they've never really unleashed him like they did on Friday. I I think the Chargers were uniquely set up to really just have an unscouted game plan,
Yeah.
and I think they fooled Steve Spagnuolo bad.
Yeah, and it was execution too. I mean, they executed the way that they needed to execute against this Chiefs team in general on both sides of the ball. But I want to move on to this, this upcoming week here. It's a Super Bowl rematch, Jared, against the Eagles with regard to the Chiefs here. And again, it's Chiefs home opener. The energy is going to be really, really high. These are teams coming off week one, again, looking a bit rusty in certain areas, not really strong in certain aspects of their defense, of course. Certain areas of the offense, again, needing to get that rust knocked off. So it's a two-part question for you. Let's start with this first one. What's the biggest area of improvement the Chiefs need on offense? And then we'll move over to the defense. So that area of improvement that you want to see on offense, what does that come down to?
I don't know that they're gonna be able to get what they really need on offense with Rashee Rice suspended, and now we haven't had a practice week, but I don't think anybody expects Xavier Worthy is gonna step up.
Yeah,
They don't really have a yard after the catch threat, and Andy Reid's offense is going to be very hamstrung without a run after the catch wide receiver. Hollywood Brown, veteran receiver, very good wide receiver, I think underrated player. He had a very good second half. He can run like the wind and get open deep, but once he catches the ball, he's not going to do anything with it.
right, right.
Um, there's a couple of rookies who I'm wondering if you might see a little bit bigger role for. They had a rookie fourth round wide receiver, Jalen Royals, who they were doing some of that yak stuff with in camp. He's been out with some knee tendonitis. Again, doesn't sound like it's season ending, but he didn't even travel to Brazil. They have a running back that they drafted in the seventh round, and I know nobody wants to count on a running back in the seventh round, but they drafted a running back, Rashard Smith, who was a college wide receiver, turned running back that I think maybe can give a little bit of juice and some gadget plays. Maybe you'll see them try to do some things with those players, but it also wouldn't surprise me if they're going to hold that back for a couple of weeks when they see Baltimore,
Yeah.
which is a more important. It's going to be a more important game than Philadelphia.
Yeah. Well, on the flip side of things, what's the biggest area of improvement the Chiefs are going to need on the defensive side of the ball?
It's got to be the pass defense. They did not look like they were anywhere near where they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
And you're talking about some players who have been successful in the league. Some players on Friday night, their shortcomings kind of showed in an extreme form. Like we've seen this problem before, but it's never been this bad. I think communication really looked like a big issue. The Chiefs did have a starting cornerback, Christian Fulton, who he's coming back off a knee cleanup and he's real slow in camp, but they played him almost the entire third preseason game. He practiced in full all week. And we thought, well, he's probably going to play Steve Spagnuolo's stereotypical you're starting cornerback, you play 100% of the snaps.
Yeah.
And he only played 15 snaps. And he went from 46 snaps in a week 3 preseason game to 15 snaps in week 1. I kind of wondered if that decision was made a little bit late to scale his rollback
Okay.
because it really looked like you had players who'd been in the system for years who did not look like they knew where to line up at the start of a play.
There seemed to be confusion every now and again. I mean, that's how it looked as somebody on the outside who doesn't necessarily follow Steve Spagnuolo's scheming necessarily. But I mean, it's going to be interesting to see this week against this Eagles team how these matchups really work, and it's also going to be interesting to see too, Jared. Just Patrick Mahomes, because like it never ceases to amaze me. The guy just finds ways to make plays, even when the team is down. He has that. And Eagles fans, I know everybody out there are going to get upset with me, but still, we're a very honest show. Patrick Mahomes, still one of the greats in this league at his position. And I've been thinking, especially after this week 1 matchup against the Chargers, Jared, that all too often we see him putting the team on his shoulders, the entire team on his shoulders. We've seen this time and time again over the years. And I do wonder if that role is perhaps starting to take its toll on him in a certain way. Again, it's early in the season. Guys are going to need to get reps on both sides of the ball. But really, Patrick Mahomes really does put the Kansas City Chiefs on his shoulders. And some may say, rightfully so, because of his contract, because of what he's done in the past. He's one of the best to play the game. But I'm wondering if there is too much being placed on Mahomes. And I'm wondering if you expect to maybe see the same against the Eagles this week. What are your thoughts?
I'm going to be honest. He was scaring me on Friday with some of those runs and some of those hits he was taking.
Yes. Yes.
I want you to make a spectacular play,
Right.
but we just saw a wide receiver go down with a dislocated shoulder that you saw the training staff popping back up. I don't need to see Mahomes leaning into the hit like that, like he did on a couple of those runs.
Yeah.
Um, they they do put too much on his back. They've managed a massive quarterback contract, and also they're not spending the money that the Eagles ownership is spending. Um, they've been really good at finding the pieces to put him in position to succeed, but
Absolutely. Yeah.
they put too much on him. And my main criticism of Andy Reid, he does not especially the last probably 3 4 years, there's just not been an attempt to make a run game that limits those shots Mahomes is taking.
Yeah.
You're and I know he's Superman. I know that playoff run on the high ankle sprain that he re-aggravated before halftime against the Eagles, and he came back and did that. And that's one of the most amazing things I think I've ever seen in the NFL, is just playing through one of the most painful injuries in sports, and that had already been managed for a month. But I think they ask him to be Superman too much.
Yeah.
I don't think this game. I think Andy Reid is a very level-headed professional. I think he thinks of this as a completely different boat than what happened with the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl. I don't think he holds grudges. I really think he moves on as fast as it looks like. This is circled on Patrick Mahomes' calendar.
Yeah.
He's going to want this one, and he's probably going to want to do some superhuman stuff, even without his two best wide receivers.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with you on that. That's the type of player that he is. Again, folks, we are talking to Jared Sapp from arrowheadpride.com. Check out everything they have going on over there. We're going to take a break in just a bit here. But Jared, tell everybody where they can find you on the socials out there, where they can find you on the interwebs if they want to follow you and your colleagues, and what you're doing on Arrowhead Pride.
In Arrowhead Pride, I write probably 5 or 6 pieces a week. I have a mailbag column coming out where I'm trying to
Awesome.
encourage Chiefs fans not to make a super quick reaction to a week 1 game on a different
Right.
continent. But I have a feeling that it's not going to be very well received,
Still got
because
16 more games to
in
go.
years of covering this, I would stress patience.
Right.
Um, I can be found on X at Truman Chief. I do a lot of commenting about the NFL in general. Um, Once in a while, I do a piece on SB Nation's main site, but that's been a while. And I
Yeah.
think the last one I did was proposing that the Dallas Cowboys might not re-sign Dak Prescott. And that's been a couple of years, and they haven't asked me to do another one. So maybe they didn't like that prediction.
I love it. I really do. With that being said, folks, if you are watching on YouTube, like and subscribe to us. Share with some of your friends and family out there who may be Philly sports fans or just sports fans in general, and specifically folks who love the NFL. We are on social media as well. We're on Instagram, Twitter/X. I'm over on TikTok at Mr. Jeff Warren. Like our Facebook page, we're on Threads, Blue Sky for Eric and myself. And with that being said, we're going to take a break, and we're going to be back in just a bit, getting into more of this upcoming matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs. Stick with us. We'll be back. All right, we are back and again here with Jared Sapp from arrowheadpride.com. Let's really start diving into some of these matchups, Jared, that we're going to see this week. The one I'm really going to be concentrating on is within the trenches, and specifically Landon Dickerson, left guard of the Philadelphia Eagles, against Chris Jones, and just that interior of that Chiefs defensive line. Landon Dickerson, as many of us know, has had a back injury that's just not going away anytime soon. It's been lingering and lingering and lingering for weeks now at this point. It really could be an issue for the Eagles' offensive line, quite frankly. So that's what I'm really going to be honing in on this week. What matchup are you going to be looking at in the trenches this week, and why?
I'm definitely looking at how Chris Jones responds this week.
Okay.
It's Chris Jones. It looked like he freelanced on that 3rd and 14 at the end of the game Friday night to where they had a great chance to get the ball back to Mahomes. And the way they were playing at that point, I think they could have won. And Chris Jones turned the wrong direction to get Justin Herbert. There was nobody else to contain him, and he just ran nonchalantly to the side and ran for the first down, and they iced the game. And it's been a very long time since I've seen a Chiefs player taking the criticism on social media and the comment section of my site like I've seen Chris Jones taking it this week. He's taken a lot of he's taken a lot of abuse this week from Chiefs fans. I mean, again, you've got the contract. You should be living up to it. He's called out on the field by his teammate linebacker Drew Tranquil. It's pretty
Yeah.
ugly sequence there.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious how he's going to respond because he, there's a lot of pressure on him to deliver a good week this week. Um, really watching that Chiefs offensive line, they've rebuilt it. They've got a rookie left tackle who fell and most people think would have been a top 10 selection in the draft, if not for a torn patellar tendon. And Josh Simmons, he tore it at Ohio State last year. And the most surprising thing has been that he's taken every starting left tackle rep since early in the offseason. Like a lot of people thought it might be half the season before he's back.
Yeah.
And he's taken every starting left tackle we've seen so far. Last year the Chiefs thought Kingsley Suamataia, who's their left guard now, they thought he was the solution at left tackle a year ago, and he played okay against the Ravens in Week 1, and then Week 2 he went up against Trey Hendrickson of the Cincinnati Bengals, and he didn't play again I think until Week 18 when the starters were pulled. So it's a big test. You got a week of film on you. Can you hold up? Like, I don't
Right.
think the Chiefs are going to have the Eagles' offensive line anytime soon. But the Chiefs didn't have the Eagles' offensive line when they won the Super Bowl against the Eagles.
Yeah.
They didn't. I mean, Mahomes was on the run against the 49ers in the year later. Is the offensive line going to be good enough to get Mahomes time to do anything because they weren't in that first half of the Super Bowl last year? And it's just going to be a really big test from a defensive coordinator who's coming off of some really strong success against what they do.
Yeah. And you're going to have one Jalen Carter who's going to be pretty hungry playing his first game of the season after being a jerk last week. Of course, knowing what he did, it's going to be interesting to see that matchup for sure. But, as we're continuing the discussion here, Jalen Hurts didn't put up the greatest numbers in the world in week 1, but he was absolutely the MVP in that game against the Cowboys because of what he did with his legs. And Jalen Hurts has consistently done this. He's consistently growing as a quarterback, frankly, and consistently getting better in different facets and different areas of his game. Again, sole reason why the Eagles won in week 1. Now, the Chiefs defense is going to need to contain him, right out of the gate if they're going to have an opportunity to win this game, stay in this game. Jalen Hurts is that good. Again, we go back to the Super Bowl. We saw what Jalen Hurts did then. There's certainly no regression there with him at all. How can the Chiefs really negate what the reigning Super Bowl MVP can do with his legs and how he's just able to keep drives alive? What are your thoughts here, Jared?
I'm going to be really interested to see this because I think Chiefs fans have forgotten it. I think the NFL has forgotten it. I thought for about the first quarter and the half of the Super Bowl, I thought it looked like Steve Spagnuolo had showed up with an outstanding game plan. Um, they were doing a great job of limiting what the Eagles can do early on in the Super Bowl.
They were
And
containing
then
Saquon Barkley for sure.
as it
Yeah.
became clear that the Chiefs offense wasn't going to be able to get them more than 4 plays of rest at a time, it just unraveled. Um, I do think Spagnuolo can be successful against Hurts. He had a he had a pretty good game plan, if I'm remembering right, when the Chiefs and Eagles played on Monday Night Football a couple of years ago. The game that again, Mahomes was in good position to win it, and I believe had a didn't he have a heartbreaking drop by I think Marquez Valdez-Scantling on the last
Scantling.
drive, if I
Yep.
remember that game correctly.
Correct. Yep.
But Spagnuolo's always had a good game plan, I think, against Lamar Jackson. He's always been really successful at getting Lamar Jackson into a passing rhythm and not being able to rely on the run game as much.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
he's generally been pretty good at taking Lamar and either limiting Lamar's arm or his legs. He can usually take one of those away. I'm wondering if you're going to see a game plan like that. I don't think you're going to see Chris Jones trusted to go after Jalen Hurts on his own because if Justin Herbert can beat you that bad, I can't imagine what Jalen Hurts is going to do.
Yeah, it's gonna it's I mean, and like I said, you know, Jalen Hurts is getting better at seeing the field in general. He really is getting better at it, and it's going to take. I think we're going to see some blitzes for sure this week. And given the Eagles' secondary situation, the cornerback 2 situation for the Eagles defense, not great. And according to Vic Fangio, Adoree Jackson likely going to be starting again this week, to much of Eagles Nation's dismay. So, buddy, I'm going to let you go here in a second, but as we do on all of our pregame preview shows here on Opposition Territory with our guests, we want to end with the 2 questions. The one thing the Chiefs are going to need to hit on for a win against the Eagles this week and vice versa. So let's start with the one thing you believe the Chiefs are going to need to hit on for that win against the Philadelphia Eagles this week. What are your thoughts?
The pass defense has to be better, and that's a really tall order when you got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith coming to town. But if Vlad McConkey, a rookie, a veteran who's back with the Chargers after a year away, who's in his 30s, if they can all do that to you, I can't imagine what the Eagles are going to be able to do if you can't line up assignments better. I mean, the Eagles are going to hit some big plays. Can you limit it enough to where the Chiefs can match the big plays? And with the wide receivers the Chiefs are going to be trotting out, my guess is probably not. But the Chiefs have to hit better on pass defense. Pass defense is the biggest reason why they're not 1-0 right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, on the flip side of things here, what's the one thing you think that Philadelphia Eagles are going to need to hit on for a win against Kansas City Chiefs out in Kansas City this week?
I don't think they're going to get the pressure they got in the Super Bowl, but they've got to be able to get home with 4 and rattle Patrick Mahomes. I mean,
Yeah.
we have a big enough sample right now. If you can get home with 4 and you're not having to devote a blitzer and you've got the extra bodies in coverage, I mean, that's the key to limiting Patrick Mahomes. And again, without the yards after the catch threat to kind of bail the Chiefs out, I, I think you can really stymie the Chiefs offense if he can't get a few big shots.
Yeah. All right. Again, folks, he is Jared Sapp from arrowheadpride.com, at Truman Chief over on Twitter/X. My friend, it was really great talking to you for the first time. Seriously, I loved the conversation here. It was great. Know that our listeners are going to enjoy this pregame preview show. Come back, join us down the road. I'd love to have you on the show again, my friend.
Look forward to it.